3, 4.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hey Boo. I'm Jackie, and that's Chrissy, Listen Queen, and this is Howard. So,
Jackie's name's not showing because she's beside Howard because her camera decided to take a crap.
yeah.
And I'm sucking on a pickle.
So how was everybody's week this week? It was good?
It was fairly good. Fairly good.
Yes. All right, so today we're gonna be discussing, I don't know if I'm gonna say it right, the Daphne
Delphi.
Delphi Murders, which was the two girls that got
Correct.
murdered on the railroad tracks in Indiana.
Correct.
And
So
we're doing the update.
yeah. So kind of a quick recap for anybody who doesn't know. I want to say it was at least a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that we did the initial story, even though the story's 5 years old. So, kind of a recap: the girls, 13 and 14, Abby and Libby, were on a trail in Delphi, Indiana, which is about maybe 40 minutes from where I live. Um, the girls were murdered. This was February 13th, 5 years ago, going on 6 years in 2 months. Um, so they were on this trail and they listen. I cannot, Howard. They were on this trail and they never returned home. Their bodies were found the next day. They were murdered. Very little information was given about the murder at the time, other than that the bodies had been recovered. They had a couple sketches that came out a few times throughout the investigation. They also released a very, very snippet of a video that Libby German had taken on her cell phone. So the video was them on the Monon High Bridge, which crosses this big ravine area. So she recorded what they assumed, or who they assumed was the girl's murderer. And the only part that they released of this was the man saying down the hill. Well, since then, a month ago, they made an arrest. Okay. So they arrested Mr. Allen, but they didn't release the indictment as to the probable cause as to why they even arrested him. All they released was that he was arrested under murder charges. Well, so to recap on that, the judge that was over the case in Delphi basically stepped down, allowed somebody to come in from Fort Wayne, which is the second largest city in the state, to oversee the proceedings, because small towns around here just don't deal with murder. They don't deal with huge cases like this because things like this just don't happen. It's pretty rare for murder to occur in small towns in the rural areas where I live and where the girls died at. But so a woman took over as judge. She told them that they had to release the probable cause affidavit as to the arrest and why they arrested him. In the affidavit, they redacted some things. They redacted, of course, the girls' names, which everybody knows the case and everybody knows the girls' names, but because they're minors, they had to redact their names. So, and they didn't release all the details of death or autopsy, so we still don't know a whole lot about that. But so the affidavit basically said that they had done a search warrant on Mr. Allen's house. They had found a firearm that they had taken, and they had found a jacket that they had taken, and I believe some other clothing. It didn't detail what other clothing. But so the girls, there was an unspent bullet found in between the girls' bodies. So they're saying that the unspent bullet that they found matches Allen's gun. Well, now I know firearms, and I know that when you fire a gun, it leaves marks. I did not, however, know that when you fire a gun, or when you don't fire a gun and you expel that bullet, it still leaves those striation marks on the bullet. And that's how they're identifying it to his gun. And that's how they're making the link. But another issue is that, he was interviewed in the beginning. Okay. He's from Delphi. He worked at the only pharmacy, which was CVS, in the town. So, and him and his wife and his children had lived there like 17 years. So he's a well-known member of the very small community. People saw him on a regular basis. You got one pharmacy in town. Where are you going to go? There, right? He was a pharmacy tech. Um, the jacket that is in question, um, I think that that's what they took from his house, and they're saying that it matches the picture. Um, I have a picture, I think. Let me see. I have a
Like,
picture
like
of
I was telling
him.
you before, I don't know shit about this. I mean, I'm being honest with you. I don't know nothing about this case. What was his motive?
They haven't said, and that's the thing that kind of um freaks me out about it. Number one, because I mean, not that, killers can't hide in our midst, but the sheer fact that he had children in the community, that grew up there. He was a pharmacy tech. I just it it boggles my mind. It
And
completely boggles my mind.
he never did anything like this before, right?
He's never been arrested. He has no criminal history. He was an upstanding citizen. But I mean, apparently now this is hearsay, but they were saying that after the the video clip of him saying down the hill to the girls, telling them to go down the hill, that he no longer would call to order pizzas, he wouldn't call to talk to doctors' offices, he wouldn't do any of that. Now, I don't know if that's just because he thought his voice matched or because his voice actually matched, but I mean, you never know, right?
Yeah.
But let me share this photo so you guys can see who I'm talking about.
While you're pulling that up, I want to say something. People that need prayers right now. Tim Kohler, he's back at work, but he's messed up. And in Indiana, they made him go back to work. So please have him in your prayers. Jason Morales Costi, have him in your prayers also. It's for an unknown, we'll just say unknown sickness, but he needs prayers. Prayers for Matt Barron. They lost their fur baby a couple of days ago, so keep them in your prayers. And also keep my daughter in your prayers, because tomorrow's her birthday. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have your prayers for her also. So
Definitely.
let's see where that is. There you go.
Okay. So what you're looking at is the two girls. Abby is on top, Libby is on bottom. Then you have the suspect that was taken with Libby's cell phone on the Monon High Bridge. Then you have, I believe this was the first sketch that the FBI did. Now, if you've ever been out to this area,
Yeah,
there
but
are.
that ain't nothing compared with what he looks like. Nothing to him. I mean, I've
Well,
seen him. He's a chubby SOB, but
what? Listen. Let me see. There
There
he is.
he is.
how in the hell do you get that from that? I don't know. Somebody was blind. Would they do that? Was it a blind sketch artist? What was it?
Well, I mean, if you look at if you look at this photo as compared to this one, I mean, other than the jawline, I mean, they're kind of close.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one with the hat on kind of looks like him.
Yeah.
That other one, that's a young.
Except he don't have a goatee.
Well, and let's
You can always
remember
grow it out.
this was almost 6 years ago that these sketches were done. He was just arrested. These murders are almost 6 years old, and he was just now
Now,
arrested.
what was he just murdered him, or was it a murder rape? What was it?
Well, see, that's another piece to the thing. We don't know. All we know that they were murdered. We don't even know the manner of murder. None of that has been
Well,
released.
that don't make sense. I mean, that should be some of the first things you put out there.
Well, you would think so. The probable cause report, an eyewitness fitting his description, walking on walking out with bloody and muddy clothes. So, thank you, Gabe. So, basically,
You should ask Gabe to come on here too, because I mean, he was a cop up there. He's familiar with this case, I'm pretty sure.
He's a cop.
well, he's a probation officer, but as an officer of the court, because it's an active, ongoing investigation.
Oh, it's still ongoing?
Yes.
Well, he's just made right there. He's giving you information there. Well, when he can't answer, you could just say, I just can't answer.
Well, probable cause, that was released to the public. So he can speak to that, but he can't. He's got to be guarded about what he says and how he says it. Because I did talk to him about coming on, but so he's got to be guarded. But so that's just it. So we don't know the manner of death. We know the girls were murdered. We know that they were found the day after the murder. We know that they were found by the creek bed. We also know that there was speculation that the bodies were moved and they weren't actually murdered where they were found. We know that there was unspent bullet casing between the two girls. That they're saying matches Mr. Allen's gun that they retrieved from his home a month ago when they arrested him. But see, that's the whole case in and of itself is disturbing, and it's disturbing for a few reasons. The first being that it took them so long to make one arrest, because there was an update like 6-8 months ago, I think. Gabe, you may need to correct me on that. But so there was a gentleman from Miami County who was also arrested. And I think but he wasn't arrested on this case, but I believe that there is definitely a link to the cases. I don't know.
That'd be great to have Jennifer on tonight. I know she's taking some time, but it would be great to have Jennifer on, because I mean, you can actually, that's what she does. This is what she does. I mean, and actually get what she feels about it, because she's pretty much telling you right in the comments what's going on.
Hang on.
Well, didn't they take like a bunch of videos and pictures and stuff of him?
Well,
they had a feeling that maybe something might happen because he was the only one walking on that train tracks. I heard they probably
he was on that bridge, yes, and they did take video of him, but again, we only have like a 2-second clip of what was on that cell phone. Now, it was also released that you can hear one of the girls saying he has a gun. That had not been released. That audio is not released, but I think that was in some of the court documents that were actually open to the public. Let me see if this will play.
Yeah, but also seen something with, I mean, from when I didn't do no research because I was outside putting Christmas lights up. But from when I was getting the poster together, wasn't there something involved with TikTok?
Not TikTok, but Snapchat. And I'm going to get
Snapchat.
That. And I
thought it was Instagram.
There's a photo, and that's what I was going to. Let me get past this ad.
Tonight we're getting a new view of an unsolved crime 4 years after it shocked the city of Delphi. Police there are still trying to figure out who killed Abby Williams and Libby German.
Tonight, as our Rich Van Wyk explains, the girls' families are hoping that there's this new online video that can help lead investigators to their killer.
Let me see if I can share this screen that's playing. Let's see, present, share screen. Okay, share. Is that sharing, Howard?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, I'm going to hit play because I think this shows part of the video clip.
The real video of the suspected killer walking toward Libby and Abby, transformed by three-dimensional augmented reality technology, gives a lifelike look to the nearly 4-year-old crime. Libby's older sister, Kelsey, calls it intense.
It was like you're standing on the bridge with them as they're seeing this.
There's the suspect approaching the girls. Libby's phone is out, taking the video, with her best friend Abby at her side.
It brought it really into perspective for me of what they were seeing. and just the person being there gave me a new perspective of what he looked like.
The original video, sketches of the suspect, a $225,000 reward, and more than 50,000 tips haven't led police to the girl's killer. The families hope this video will.
It's going to help trigger somebody's memory, and they're going to say, wow, I really do know who this looks like.
The Delphi murders are among hundreds of unsolved crimes featured in the brand new Crime Door app. It's aimed at fans of true crimes. Before signing on to help create Crime Door, Paul Holes was a detective specializing in cold case investigations.
From my perspective, it's another tool, it's another source of information that could potentially give Kelsey, her family, Abby's family, an answer.
State police insist the case is far from cold. 2 investigators work it every day. They are still getting new leads.
I still have so much hope. I talked to an investigator the other day, and he told me to remember that they're never stopping. No matter what, they're going to keep fighting for us.
And Abby and Libby.
Okay, now you guys were talking about the app that was linked to the case. And that's what I was fixing to tell you about the Miami County arrest. So 15 minutes from me is Miami County. There was a gentleman who was arrested, and I have a photo of him as well. He's still in jail, but they were saying, and I believe that he is connected to this, and I believe that they were all involved in a underage, basically sex ring. I mean, for
So that's what Gabriel said. But basically, it was sex trafficking. Maybe he was trying to get him, and they fought him off, and he just, he perished.
Okay, so I got the video or the photo of this other arrest. He was actually the last one to talk to the girls on their cell phone the day of their murder.
Wow.
Yeah, you should. I've seen a fake account you sent. It was
Okay.
weird.
So,
it almost looks like me.
Same picture.
Yeah, it looks like me with my shirt off. What the hell?
Okay. Oh my God, I cannot, Howard. Okay, so he was arrested in Miami County. He was arrested, I believe, on multiple child pornography charges. Okay. Of course, there's the girls. Now, here's the model. He's a model, and he stole his profile pictures from Instagram to create this Snapchat. So the girls thought that they were talking to him, when in reality they were talking to this gentleman. Now, he claims that multiple people had access to this Snapchat account. I believe including his father is what he had said. And I believe that there's ties to his father and Mr. Allen. I believe, and this is pure speculation, but I believe that all 3 of them were on this Snapchat app under that same profile talking to the girls. Because I believe one of the messages to the girls was asking the girls, where are you right now? And they said on the bridge or on the trail. I don't know which, but I believe that it was all a setup, and I don't believe that Mr. Allen is working alone. And I believe that's why they're very close-lipped about the information that they're giving or that they have, because I think that not only Mr. Allen was involved, but I believe that this gentleman, I don't even remember his name, but I believe him and his father are both potentially involved in it.
Oh.
So, I mean, he's still in jail for the pornography charges. I think they're also investigating his father, who he said also had access to that Snapchat account. And of course, the model that they stole his pictures from reached out to Abby and Libby's family and offered condolences, because he had no idea that they had stolen his profile pictures and was using it to talk to underage girls.
Wow.
It was no pornography. What was no pornography, Gabe?
That's what I'm saying. Gabe should come on and just tell us what he can say and not, you know what I'm saying?
He kidnapped a 9-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's what he said up here. He said this in this statement here.
He was from Lafayette. And Trevor was from Lafayette.
The man had kidnapped a young girl. What did he say? The man had kidnapped a young girl and what?
Yeah. But
They found her hidden in his basement and have him linked to sex trafficking. He gave information that caused weeks of dredging the Wabash River in Peru. Okay, so, but he was also tied to the girls, and maybe you can't speak on that because he actually spoke to the girls the day they died, correct? And how does his dad tie into that? Because I don't believe his dad has been arrested, but he was saying that he had access to that account.
So all of them are in on it. That's because why would somebody be there with them on the train track if they didn't know where they were? The only one that knew where they were was the sister that dropped them off.
Correct. Well, that's my theory. And like I said, it's complete speculation. It's complete theory. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that I don't think Mr. Allen acted alone. I think that this was a well thought out and well planned thing. But I don't know that they're going to get him on murder because it doesn't seem that they have a whole lot of evidence other than that bullet casing and potentially a jacket that matches the picture of him on the bridge. How common is that jacket? I mean, is it a jacket that, you know, you can get anywhere, you know, at Walmart? You know, how many people wear those jackets?
Yeah.
Well, most likely they're probably looking for residue, some form of blood or DNA evidence in the jacket is probably part of that information that they're not releasing. If they confiscated that, there's probably a reason for it. As far as the guy in Peru, he was traveling back and forth between Lafayette and Peru at the time, and he was living in Peru. He kidnapped a 9-year-old girl that he was planning to sex traffic at that point. They ended up catching him, and she was, like I said, she was found tied up and hidden in his basement. But it was him that gave information to the police that started the searches in that area for I'm guessing something that they believe was thrown that they tried to get rid of by throwing it in the river. As far as the information that they're not giving out, from what I understand, there's a lot of evidence that it's very graphic, and they're not releasing that at this time because it's part of the ongoing case and investigation. And so they, you know, it's just like they police don't often give out all the information to when they're doing their case, because it's that the details, the devil's in the details. So if there's certain details somebody might know or mess up and make a slip that they haven't made public, then how would that person know those things unless they were there?
Well, and that's my whole point, is that I don't think that he acted alone. I don't think that they're done arresting people. And I'm not
Oh,
saying
no, I completely agree with you there.
I don't think that they should tip their hand and give us everything. But let's face it, 2 little girls were murdered, and we have no idea to the details other than they were murdered. And I
Right.
read an article that said that their clothes were found in the creek south of the bodies. But then somebody else said that there were text messages that were out there that said one of the girls was completely naked and the other girl was completely clothed, and one said there was rape, the other one said there wasn't rape, and I can't recall who was these text messages were back and forward from. But ultimately, why wouldn't they at least release, and I don't want graphic detail, but you know what I mean, some detail as to that isn't going to mess up the investigation.
Well, at this point, any information, because it's taken so long to build this case, they want to hold on to everything they possibly can for that self-incrimination factor. I'm sure. I mean, there's really. I mean, we know that the probable cause has been released with minimal information.
Redactions.
Right.
There's
still Alan has even put in for a change of venue already to try and have his case tried in a different area.
That's lovely.
There's so much going on with this case, and it's an old case. It's not something that they were able to put together in a short amount of time. And it's been really sketchy on getting details and building the case itself.
Well, but let's look at it this way too, though, Gabe, because
really, you can't turn the thing off now. You want me to throw it in the yard? What you want? Talk to me.
But all of these details would be released in the actual court case. I think that's the point. Is that in the evidence in the actual court case, they're trying to keep from contaminating their possible base of jurors as well. Because if they release too much information now, then then he can claim bias later if they do convict him of this crime, because it is such a high profile case.
Well, it is, but they also had him on the radar from the jump, and they dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
Well, no, they didn't necessarily drop the ball. But
evidence.
All of the evidence they had was circumstantial, and they didn't have probable cause to go take his gun and compare his gun to the ejected shell that they found then. They had an image, a fairly grainy, crappy image of somebody walking up up that trail.
Right.
The probable cause statement says that his car was parked in, I think it was a closed bank or a parking lot or something like that right there along the Monon Trail. And it was backed in such a way that people couldn't, he had done it intentionally so people couldn't see the license plate on the vehicle.
Yeah, because there's video. There's cameras on that trail.
Right.
And on the parking lot when you pull in, because I've been there. I've been on that trail.
Right. But were those active at that time?
Okay, so the one that actually faces the entryway where you would park on that side parking lot and enter that area before you even get to the bridge. Yes. Mm-hmm. But the cameras that ran or that are on the trail now, where basically essentially the girls were kidnapped and died. There's more cameras that do effectively work back there now, but they weren't then. So it wouldn't have caught because there weren't cameras back there then, but there are now. But the camera, had he parked correctly, the camera would have caught the tags.
Yeah.
At the time of the murder.
But that vehicle was parked in such a way that people driving by wouldn't be able to identify it. And they had different descriptions of what the vehicle, like initially what people were reporting the vehicle, suspect vehicle was. It was kind of in the line, but it it wasn't dead on. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's a 1973 Firebird. You know, it
Right.
was it
Right.
was, you know, basically down to an SUV van type thing, I think is what it ended up being.
Right. And
So
I think that gave a
so
general
it
color.
was, yeah.
But I understand not giving out everything, and I understand that an investigation is important, and I understand and I firmly believe that there are other people involved. I don't believe he was the only one. So I guess for me, I don't understand what it was. What was the turning point that they got the affidavit to search his house? Because they already had the bullet. They had the bullet the day they found the bodies. Correct?
Right. And I firmly believe that that came from that information from that guy up and it's on in court up in Miami County. I believe that because that's when a lot of things really started to kick back up again as far as the investigation went. That's when you started hearing more about, and because they actually suspected that man initially of the Delphi murders.
The Miami
And
County
that's
guy,
when they
right?
Lafayette Miami County guy, because he was traveling back and forth between those two areas at
But
that
see, I
time.
thought that was his dad. The guy who was arrested in
No,
Miami
it,
County
uh,
was.
all right. So
Go ahead.
if I am
Blame her.
thinking of
Blame
the right
her.
person,
She did
because
it.
there is the one in Lafayette, or he was
Get
arrested
her
in
ass.
Lafayette that I was talking about.
Okay.
He was traveling between the two locations because he was either in he was doing some type of work or schooling or something along those lines in Miami County at the time, but he was actually living in Lafayette.
Louisiana?
Now,
Indiana.
after they found that he had kidnapped that little girl, he actually had family members that came out and said, "Oh, he's really, really bad, and I can completely see him doing this."
But I thought that
But
his
nobody
dad was
came forward.
tied to it as well. And I thought his dad
See, and
was.
I don't know about Dad. That's the first I'm hearing about Dad. It's I'm just kind of going off of what I had already known. There's nothing, of course, in probable cause, and nothing related to the court itself. This is all stuff that was kind of circulating in the ether
Right,
down around here at that time.
right. Well, I'm about 99% sure that his dad was looked at one point as well. And he
Mhm.
worked for Chrysler in Kokomo. I think the transmission
Okay,
plant.
yeah, okay.
Okay,
Which would
so
put him in the area.
right.
Yeah,
But that is his father. That is not the one that was arrested. That's what I'm saying.
right.
And
Now,
he was saying that
but
I thought, and I could be wrong, but I thought that they had said that Alan, the one who was arrested for the murders, was friends with the guy that was arrested in Miami County, not him, but his father. And the one in
okay.
Miami County that was arrested said that his dad had access to that Snapchat that they were talking to the
Oh,
girls on.
yeah, and that's very possible. I mean, because I know that in the reports they have talked about the social media aspect of it, and a lot of a lot of communication going on in that area.
Yeah.
So that's very possible.
You want to remind everybody what we're talking about?
Okay. So we're talking about what's called the Delphi murders 5 years ago. February 13th, 5 years ago. Two girls, Libby and Abby, were murdered on Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. They just arrested a suspect and charged him with murder about a month ago. But they're very tight-lipped in everything they're doing. It took them a couple weeks to release the arrest affidavit or probable cause affidavit for the arrest. It was redacted and doesn't give us a whole lot of information. They're very tight-lipped about the girl's murder in general. They haven't released hardly any. The only new evidence they really released was number one, that a bullet was found between the girls' bodies. We didn't know that. Number two, that the girls, what was the other detail? Oh, there's a video that was released of Libby's cell phone, and it's a video of their murderer telling them down the hill. Well, apparently there's another section of that video that was never released where you can hear one of the girls saying he has a gun. Those are the two pieces of evidence that we didn't know that have been released to the general public. He's asked for a change of venue. He has said that he cannot afford an attorney. I believe his attorneys that are representing him are asking the state to cover the bill for their attorney fees for him. He wrote a letter begging the courts basically for help, for legal guidance. What else was released?
But that's not uncommon. I mean, a lot of times when you are being charged with the crime, they ask you, can you afford representation? He initially said that he thought he could.
Yeah.
And then he came back later and said, I had no idea that it was going to be this much. So that's not uncommon to have a suspect write a letter requesting a public defender at that point.
Right. No, I'm just saying that was one of the things that the general public did get to see was his handwritten request for that. Because we have been given very little information, very little detail. It's just been snippets from the beginning of this murder case, which is huge in that little small county where nothing bad ever really happened. You know what I'm saying?
Does Indiana carry the death penalty?
They used to, I believe.
I believe they do.
Yeah.
If not, bring them down to Louisiana. We'll have a cookout.
I believe.
I think Indiana does have is a state where you can receive the death penalty.
I was going to say, I think there's only like 2 states that don't have the death penalty. If I recall correctly.
We got the death penalty for jaywalking.
You do not. Stop it. I cannot.
Well, I mean, I know that we have the federal prison here where was it Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber? He was executed here in Indiana in the federal prison.
Yeah, we have the death penalty. I just don't know how often they deliver date of death sentences. You know what I'm saying? Usually they die in prison.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. But I just think that they should give us a little bit more, and maybe, and like I said, I don't want it to ruin the investigation because I'm pretty sure that there will be more arrests behind it. But I just feel like as a community, we're kind of in the dark.
And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that because then it doesn't contaminate the jury pool. Because when you have a high profile like this in rural Indiana, in a town where everybody knows everybody, the jury could be easily swayed to believe either side, or just presume you're guilty from the get-go because people want closure in the case.
You can't tell me that we're going to use a jury pool from Delphi. I find that very hard to believe that they would do that.
What? I'm sorry, I missed that. What?
Jackie's pulling this up right now. It's from November 22nd. Indiana judge considers unsealing evidence, adjusting bond for Richard Allen, Delphi murder suspect.
Right. Yeah. And that was when they released the probable cause. They released that probable cause because originally there was a gag order on the entire case. Like they didn't release, even after they arrested him, it took them a couple of weeks before they would even release the probable cause affidavit.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Indiana is so screwed up.
He didn't even have it in hand. So he didn't have a piece of paper saying, this is why we arrested you. Here's what we have. He didn't have any of that. And to me, and I'm not saying that he's innocent, but I'm just saying by law, they're supposed to give you that. When they accuse you
By
of a
law,
crime,
they have 48 hours to charge you or release you. They arrested him. They charged him. And they told him the charges of why he was arrested. They don't have to give him all of their evidence at that time. They don't have to give him a probable cause affidavit at that time. They just have to tell him what his charges are.
Well,
did he go to the grand jury yet?
Or when he goes before, we don't have grand jury, do we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we don't.
Not there for sure.
We don't process like that.
We do.
Yeah, no. I mean, you get the probable cause affidavit. He's arrested. He goes to jail. He can either, if they order bond, he can either bond out, stay in jail, whatever. It doesn't have to go before a grand jury for the indictment.
Right.
So it just, if the judge accepts it, the judge accepts it. It doesn't have to go before a grand jury.
And the thing is in discovery, for his attorneys, they would receive all the evidence. So his attorneys have all the evidence that is there against him. By law, they have to give that, but they can't give it to the public.
But his attorneys were even saying, we don't even have this. We don't have the affidavit. We don't have the information. And initially, before
it's called stall tactics. They probably have it. It's just all it is. They stall it.
Yeah, lawyers are sketchy, Chrissy.
Well, I know that.
I mean, there's a lot of them out there. They play the game.
I know.
didn't get this and they have it in their hand. They just throw it in a garbage can. I ain't got it.
Listen, I cannot. But I don't think that they will use a jury pool from Delphi. I cannot see that happening.
You can always bring in a jury from another
He
county.
has requested a change of venue, so they probably won't. But even at that, if you, with as big a deal as this case has been, even if they ship him to Columbus or to Muncie or wherever, those are a little larger communities, but the case has taken on a life of its own, and they can't get that information out there into the community because people make those judgments, and people are following this case.
I mean, y'all don't do that for jury duty. I mean, we'll send juries to another parish or another county and stuff like that because they want to change.
Yeah, but they have to be selected for it first.
But they send them. They'll pick from another county or way across the state if they have to, and they'll bring them in that way.
Yeah,
they'll have to sit in that courtroom.
Right, but my point is with media and social media, look at how quickly the probable cause affidavit was all over Facebook. I mean, within 20 minutes of that being released on Facebook, I had it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all over. I think that they don't have to technically share the probable cause affidavit with the public right from the get-go. Everything's going to come out in the court hearings and the proceedings. Yeah. I think they're just trying to be cautious to make sure that there can't ever be a bias question raised.
What are they talking about?
I have no idea.
Gabe, listen to me, Gabe. President, what's his name, passed a bill. Is that
December
on December 19th?
Yeah, she says up here again. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
I don't know what she's talking about.
No idea what you're talking about. Sorry. We're lost.
Yeah.
And federal law, we're talking state. We're not talking federal.
Yeah, this is not a federal case.
No.
Oh, that's what it is. It's Emmy's birthday. They say no to Emmy's birthday.
Oh.
Well, happy birthday, Emmy.
That's funny.
Again. How many birthdays did that mean last month? 15, 16 birthdays last month? Emmy got a birthday just about every other day.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
She must be about 360 years old by now.
I cannot. I cannot. Well, I mean, hindsight 2020. His wife really isn't being open neither, and I get that she's guarded, and her husband's been accused of murdering these two girls, but to me, if your spouse was innocent, I'd be shouting at the rooftops their innocence, but she's not.
Yeah.
So
We're supposed to be going back for a bond hearing on February 17th.
is that what it says?
Yeah.
So they might give him bond.
Oh, he's asking for his bond to be reduced.
Yes.
What was the bond set at? Do we know?
It didn't say.
It was, I think it was like $1 million or something like that, or maybe they didn't set one. It was, if it was set really, really high to where
Yes.
he couldn't get out.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. I'm just sitting here just looking at Jackie.
Well, to me, it sounds
glad I
like
got
if
life
they're that
insurance.
certain, if they're that certain, and the judge has ordered a bond that high, there has to be evidence that's pretty strong that we don't see.
Yeah, flight risk too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's dealing with sex trafficking, he's got a way to get out himself.
Right.
I mean, that could very well
And I
be.
can't say that that's for certain, but I know that the charges for the other guy were related to sex trafficking. So there's there's always that concern and suspicion there.
Well, but he not only worked at the CVS there in Delphi, he also worked at the CVS in Peru when they were shorthanded.
We
Yeah.
go to CVS.
He was in Miami County frequently
Yeah.
as
Well, and
a pharmacy
yeah.
tech.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that would make sense if he was going back, if he was going to Peru, to Miami County area, and tried to ditch evidence in the Wabash River. That's where that information came from. Was the guy they had in custody in Miami County had gave him a tip that caused them to decide to start dredging and looking for certain items in the river.
Right.
So if they were in cahoots, if they were communicating together, then, and he shared that information with the other gentleman, then that then gave that to police, there may have been something that they did discover in Miami County in the river.
Wow.
Could be. But of course, if they did, that may be something that we're going to find out later, of course, because that's got to wait till
Right.
trial.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that this trial is going to even take place within the next 6 months?
Well, he has the right to a speedy trial. It just depends on his. but they're playing a lot of stall tactics on his side of the fence too.
Now, if he gets out on bond, they'll stall the shit out of this. Now, if he stays in jail, then he's going to want a fast trial.
Yeah, we're already talking change a judge, change a venue, because he's concerned about the bias by the presiding court and the community. So, I think that if he gets out on bond, he's going to stall the hell out of that. And I think they're already talking about his family moving into a different community if he's released, because they're afraid to be there in Delphi.
Well, I know that he had said that his wife was unable to work due to these allegations, and that she's having problems sustaining the bills.
Yeah.
And I think that the house that they lived in, and I don't know that this was released or not. I don't know how far their house is from where the girls were, but that town in and of itself is not big.
Oh no. It's half the size, if that, of Wabash.
Exactly.
It's a small town.
Exactly. So I don't know.
I'm telling you, bring him down here. We'll put him in Angola.
What? Is that a prison?
Yes.
Federal prison.
Oh,
There's no fence up anything.
Well, we've got a federal prison right here in Indiana.
Yeah, but how many prisons you can walk out in the field and get bit by a snake and die?
Well, I'm just thinking, why not skip the middleman? We just put him out in the field.
That's what I'm talking about. Let him go running. That's all around Angola, swamp. That's why they don't have a gate up, the fence up.
But see, right there are two of us already assuming this guy's guilty. You know, I mean, that's.
Well, you got to look at. I mean, if you're in any type of law enforcement, I mean, you look at that and you just automatically know.
Well, I mean, innocent until proven guilty.
Guilty.
And we haven't seen any of
I'm in
that.
Louisiana. Send him here. I'm telling you, we'll have a barbecue. Come on.
Howard. Listen, it doesn't work that way,
I
sir.
can hear the judge now. Hey, boys, we're going to bring some marshmallows to this one. Come on. I can hear the judge saying that.
I cannot. I just cannot. I don't know. I mean, he admitted to being on the trail that day. He said that he was looking at fish.
That's all they need right there. And if they got him on a camera and they got him walking down the trail and he coming out with blood, why is he still walking this earth?
He's got witnesses that he even said himself he saw
his mama?
on the trail.
He got his mama?
Three other girls, minor girls that were on the trail.
Yeah, three minor girls saw him on the trail that day too,
and
heading towards the train trestle.
Right. Right.
Fry him.
Well, I mean, he's got to have due process, Howard.
I'll bring some popcorn to that shit. I'll watch that.
I cannot. Due process.
Due process while he gets fried.
Let the courts.
We got fried. We inject you. We fry. First we inject you, then we fry you.
Well, our death penalty is lethal injection. We
got all kind of shit. We got hanging. We got it all.
Y'all don't still have hanging.
Oh yes, they do.
You?
Yeah.
Do you really?
And you can request certain types of execution.
Yeah. Firing squad, whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, firing
squad. To the police, shit. We Louisiana.
Electrocution.
We don't even have a prison with an electric chair in this state, do we?
You can borrow ours.
You can request it.
I mean, they're going to have to send you somewhere else because I don't think we've had an electric chair in this state in probably 50 years.
Hey, they've got an old one. They can hook it back up. It's only a few wires.
Drop them in the Mississippi River. There you go. That'll be done. You ain't got to bury them.
Oh, I cannot.
You know, it's like Glade. Just plug it in, plug it in.
Game. I cannot. Howard, and this is why you are so crazy. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm crazy. That's the way it is. It's just it is. That's the way it is.
Well, I know, but due process. Yeah,
you can process them just like you're getting ready to fry a turkey. You know, you just go ahead and
baste
them up, you inject them a little bit.
Let me play devil's advocate. What if we're wrong? What if he is innocent? What if he was just standing on the beach watching the fish? I'm just saying. Now, listen, I've stood on that bridge, and let me just say, there's no way that he was standing there watching the fish unless carp was jumping out of the water, because that water is so brown and murky, you ain't seeing nothing in it.
That's what I'm telling you.
Well, you know, it could have been a drier year to where it was, you know, it was shallow.
Bring them here. We can come look at the fish and go on the alligator.
Oh, wait. But Howard, wait. This is Chrissy we're talking to. Mrs. Gordon. We argue with.
That's the same thing I was just thinking about that shit too. I trust you, Chrissy.
I cannot.
Yeah. We know you know the fishing.
Y'all are awful.
I gotta behave on here. This is their show. I gotta behave.
This is the family friendly show, Gabe and Howard.
Well, everybody's Gordon's fisherman.
That's right.
Yes.
I
Trust the
cannot.
Gordon's fisherman.
I cannot.
And his wife,
Stop it.
Christy. What?
Stop it.
That's right, Christy.
Jackie has no idea what we're talking about. She
No, I
didn't watch
don't.
Unholy Trinity.
No, I don't have no idea what you're talking
She's
about.
still contemplating the double indemnity I got on life insurance policy on her.
That's all right, Jackie. We're taking out a policy on Howard. We don't even need his signature. I found that out.
Oh, we don't?
No.
No.
I think I got yours.
I signed for it.
Yeah, but that was good that you signed for it. That's
I
right.
signed for it myself. Then he said, who you going to put?
And I wrote my name in.
Yeah,
Because who's paying for it?
he did. And now he wants to trade us in on the other side of the car.
Howard.
He said with a straight face, so that kind of worries me.
It's all right, Jackie. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up, girl.
It's accidental. I can't help it. The car stalled.
No.
I might have to watch his cooking.
18-wheeler coming. All I saw, it was Peterbilt. That was the last thing I saw.
I cannot.
Mm.
That's just so mean, Howard. So mean.
That was an interesting update. We have to come back in 6 months, see what's going on. If he's going
definitely.
to trial or not.
Or if they release a whole bunch more information,
You plan on being around in 6
we
months?
can update.
What?
You plan on being around in 6 months?
Are you?
No, I am.
I don't think you are.
By that time, I'll probably be in the Bahamas.
You are not going to the Bahamas.
Everybody heard this, right? I got evidence. He wants to do that to me
That's right.
to get the money.
That's
No.
right.
He just said that I think he was talking about a romantic vacation for the two of you in the Bahamas.
No, he.
No,
I heard nothing.
no.
Nothing's being said that was like leading me to believe that you're in any
He
danger.
said it with his own voice.
I'm going with my mistress. I'm my new girlfriend.
From the movie set, he's saying all these wives he's got.
I got you. Then I got Chrissy as my podcast wife. And then I got my movie wife. And then I got my mistress. That's Courtney Peterson. She's in here somewhere.
Scotty, you will be around in 6 months. Stop it.
But we should come back in 6 months.
You be
maybe.
taking a bath in my tub next time. Let's just say, baby, look, this blow dryer. Whoops.
See what I have to put up with, right?
He's just telling you to make sure that you unplug your
Make
appliance.
sure the floor is dry.
My blow dryer is way on the other side of the tub. There's no way it can go into the tub and still be plugged in.
I got an extension cord.
No, I don't. You know how I am. I'm a stickler about everything.
How you gonna be stickling? You be in the tub. I'm gonna be standing over you. Look
You
at
ain't
this.
putting an electric cord in the bathroom.
I won't.
That causes a fire.
Yeah, it costs a fire.
I cannot.
Okay, y'all. So thank y'all for coming and watching Hey Boo. We will see y'all next week. Have a great week and God bless. Bye, everybody.
That's it.
Thanks,
We're-
Yep, that's it.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Not all.